This is why the Bible does not end just with the cross and empty tomb of Jesus, the message of salvation. There's a final word that I'm excited to share with you today: the restoration. God has promised to restore this broken physical place, this place called earth. He has said that on the day that Jesus comes back, what we call the judgment day or the last day, could be today, could be tomorrow, could be 10,000 years from now. When Jesus returns from heaven, God will bring with him a whole new place called the new earth. Maybe you've heard about the resurrection of the dead. The bodies of people will be raised, and everyone who believes in Jesus will be transformed. No more brokenness, no more limping, no more hurting, no more aspirin. We'll be transformed somehow, glorified, and with new physical bodies, we will walk in a physical place, and we will once again see God face to face. This is the ultimate restoration of things, like the beginning of the book, but this time even better. And today, for those of you who are sick of something, sick of sins you have to confess and forgive, sick of aches and pains you try to figure out and fix, for those of you who are just aching for a day where there's nothing to worry or wonder about, today I want to give you the Bible's final promise. There's a whole new world for the people of God. It's in the last chapter of this amazing book, and it's what I'm excited to share with you today. There are 1,189 chapters in the Bible. Here's the very last one in the book that God gave us. Revelation chapter 22 says this. Then the angel showed me the river of the water of life, as clear as crystal, flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb down the middle of the great street of the city. On each side of the river stood the tree of life, bearing 12 crops of fruit, yielding its fruit every month. And the leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. Would you read out loud this last part with me? No longer will there be any curse. Wow, what incredible words. The angel gives the Apostle John like an advanced preview, a little trailer of the new earth. And he says there is the river of the water of life. Like life and not death. Not a drop or a glass of it, but a whole river of it. Like our souls are thirsty for restoration and reconciliation and salvation and happiness and joy and peace and unity. Everything we ache for, there's like rivers of that God is providing. He showed me the river of the water of life flowing from the throne of God and of the Lamb. It's right in the middle of this new place where God is. I actually love the wording. The idea of a throne makes us think of power, authority of a king. But the picture of a lamb makes us think of the gentleness, the patience, the sacrifice of Jesus, the Lamb of God who takes away the sin of the world. On the new earth, front and center is God, powerful and loving, like a perfect parent who's always there with good, loving boundaries and authority, but just who gushes with mercy and affection and love. And there on both sides of the river is the tree of life. The symbol that this isn't going to last just for a moment or a minute. It's going to endure forever. The tree produces fruit not once or twice a year, but every single month. All year long, there's life and more life. The leaves of the tree are for the healing of the nations. I wonder what the newspapers will say on the new earth. There's no more border disputes. There's no more conflict over land or oil or power. There's no tension, no threats, no bombs, no war. There's total healing among all the nations. Like people are reconciled to each other on the new earth, and we are made right with God because of the Lamb. John summarizes it so beautifully. No longer, never again, will there be any, not a second, not an ounce. There will never be something. There will be no more curse. Now, if you're pretty familiar with the Bible, I wonder if some of that sounds familiar. The last chapters of the Bible about the new earth are actually written in a very intentional way that are meant to trigger your mind back to the first pages of the Bible where the story began. You can read them after church is over, but if you would study the Garden of Eden, that paradise before sin came into the world, you would also find words like river, you'd find the tree of life, you'd find fruit, You'd find God. Right? There was total healing. There was no. We're meant to go way back before there was all this drama and division, and think of how paradise once was. Except this is kind of 401 theology. If you read closely, there's some things that were in Eden that are not in this place. The serpent, for one. The devil was actually tossed into the lake of fire back in Revelation chapter 20. Nor do we hear anything about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, the forbidden fruit that led to the fall into sin. It's almost as if God is saying, oh, it's like Eden, except this Eden is going to be upgraded. That Eden was amazing, but eventually the amazingness ended. But in this Eden, there is no tempter to tempt you. There's no forbidden fruit to lead you. Instead, there's just you and God forever and ever. It will be a kind of paradise that never ends. Now, can you imagine what it's going to feel like to be in paradise? Let's try for just a second. As you think back on your life, all the places you've been, all the people that you have been with, what is like the closest that you have been to the paradise of the new earth? Maybe think about that trip you took, the vacation to the beach, the first time you saw the mountains. Maybe think about that final push and how you felt when you held your little one in your arms. Maybe think about your wedding day and your vows, the road trip with your best friends. If I gave you 5 seconds just to think, what's the closest you've gotten to paradise? What would it be? When I think about paradise, I think about this place. Back in 2016, I had a chance to speak to some missionaries in northern Thailand. My wife got to come with me, and as a super bonus, we got to take a little side trip for just a few days to this incredible, almost Eden island on Thailand called Koh Samui. This is the amazing resort where we stayed. It was on Koh Samui that I took one of my favorite pictures of my wife. She gave me permission to share it with you. She was on this little couch, just reading a book, her feet kicked up. It's the sound of the waves. You didn't need to keep track of time. It was paradise. There was not a single preschooler that entire day that tapped her on the shoulder and said, Miss Kim, Miss Kim, Miss Kim, Miss Kim, Miss Kim. I tried to make it to the bathroom. No, the only person who tapped her on the shoulder was the waiter who was coming with a skewer of fresh papaya, pineapple, and dragon fruit. Thank you very much. Oh, and I was in paradise too. I hope this next picture isn't too much information, but we went to the beach and I got an hour-long massage. There I am, listening to the waves. Do you know how much an hour-long massage on the beach costs you in Thailand? $6. $6. That's like a small Diet Coke and a fry, isn't it? It was for an hour long of pure relaxation. It was amazing. It was so close to paradise. And then we came home. Apparently we had to parent our own children, and you guys were going to pay me to get a massage all day. It was so good, but there's always something. But can you imagine your paradise that doesn't end? It's like that moment where you just melt into the moment and then realize it's only going to get better. And you're not counting down the days until the experience ends. You're not going to have to pay the bill when everything is said and done. You don't even have to worry, well, what if this happens? Can you imagine what it would be like to be back in that moment, except it gets better and it endures forever? Now, I don't think any eye has seen and no mind can comprehend what it will be like, but if you just stop and think, come on, God. And just when I get super jacked up about the new earth, then I read what John says next. It's even better. Back in Revelation 22, he says this about the new earth. The throne of God and of the Lamb will be in the city, and his servants will serve him. Got to talk about that. They will see his face. We got to talk about that too. And his name will be on their foreheads. We should talk about that. There will be no more night. They will not need the light of a lamp or the light of the sun, for the Lord, their God, will give them light. Let's talk about that in a second. And they will reign forever and ever. We're going to talk about that too. I think about this. On the new earth, God's servants, his people, will serve him. There's no sin on the new earth. Can you imagine going a whole week where you and everyone around you never sins? Where you don't have to fight like that dumb part of you that it's just a battle every single day. There's nothing to feel bad about. There's never an apology on the new earth. There's no like love yourself and hate yourself, wish you could change yourself. You're like been made perfected and holy like Jesus. Can you imagine like your friends or the people you love sinless when they're only serving God, only living a life of perfect love? Now, when I'm going to get excited about heaven, I think like of my wife and my daughters. I've only known this earth version of them. But what will they be like? What will we be like when all the sin that gets in the way of us is gone? When our love is turned up, amplified, perfected? When there's no impatience, just a greater generosity, a greater affection? Like I adore them now. What will it be like then to see them perfected like Jesus? Oh, that line, his servants will serve him. They will not question him, doubt him, rebel against him, sin against him. For all eternity, we just live a life of perfect love. We get glimpses of it now, but then it will be everything. If that wasn't good enough, then the Bible says that we'll see his face. Oh, now, I think the whole Bible is about seeing the face of God. Like, sin separates us from his glorious face, but Jesus is meant to bring us back together. What we often say at the blessing at the end of our church services, the Lord's face shine upon you, is meant to just make you think, wow, because of Jesus, like God's happy when he thinks of you. Imagine we don't have to imagine it. Think about it. You actually get to see it. His servants will see his face. Dave, I should have gotten your permission for this, but during the first 2 songs of worship, all I was doing was looking at your baby's face. Just those big cheeks. I thought like human faces can make us feel such happiness. Like they can improve our mood in a moment. Imagine seeing the face of God. Like imagine looking into his eyes. He's not disappointed. He's like the proudest father, the best friend. And if we get little glimpses of the moments in the mountains and the babies and falling in love, just imagine when everyone is good with each other, everyone is good with God. His servants will serve him. They will see his face. His name will be on their foreheads. It's not a Post Malone tattoo. It's like all we'll think about is God. And he thinks about us. We won't want anything else. We'll just be with